She came second to everything. She was secondary, my daughter. You know, you think about when you're alcoholic is where's the next drink and where's the next party. You don't have time to parent. You don't even know how to parent. You know, I'd wake up in the morning in those days and I'd have to think, who had my daughter, his mum or my mum?
This is Rock Bottom with Ryan. No sugarcoating, no filters. The pain, the chaos, the truth. No bullshit. Just recovery.
Hey everyone, just want to welcome you to another episode of Rock Bottom with Ryan. And this episode is brought to you by Sober Strong Apparel. Sober Strong Apparel makes heavyweight premium gear for people who take sobriety seriously. 10% of every order goes back to recovery centers. Sober Strong also runs an impact sponsorship program that puts gear directly into facilities for people just starting out. So if you're sober curious, or have a loved one in sobriety or recovery, check out SoberStrongApparel.com. Go use Rock Bottom, all one word, capital letters, as the code at checkout for 15% off. It's now 15% off. Great quality clothing. It looks good. Love the brand. Love what it stands for. I love that it gives back to the recovery community and just feel the mission. Love this brand. SoberStrongApparel.com. Enjoy this episode. All right, welcome to another episode of Rock Bottom with Ryan. I'm here with Suzie. Suzie, how you doing?
I'm very well, thank you.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you joining the show. It looks like I'm talking to you from pretty far away. You're over in Australia?
In Australia, I'm in Ocean Grove, which is down the coast in Victoria near Geelong.
Oh, okay.
Have you been to Australia?
Never have. No, I want to.
Okay.
Though. I would love to.
We're on the coast down, near Geelong.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, no, I've heard good things about Australia. Never been, but it is on my bucket list. So
Yeah, you got to come. You'll love it.
have you spent any time in the States?
Yeah, I toured with Little River Band
Okay.
in 1979.
All right. During the party days, maybe?
I didn't go to Idaho. We went to LA and Vegas and Miami, and I can't remember because I was so out of it.
The party spots.
Yeah, we had a fair bit of the old marching powder happening and a lot of alcohol. Molly Meldrum was on the bus with us. It was just insane fun.
Wow, that sounds awesome.
But I can't remember where we went really. Oh, I went to Jamaica after the tour. We went to Jamaica.
Wow. Never been to Jamaica either, but I heard good things.
That was the best, just the best.
So I want to hear more about leading up to that, but first of all, what's your sober date?
23rd of June, 2017.
27. All right. And what was
so I'm 8.5.
What was your drink or drug of choice?
Anything, alcohol.
Anything alcoholic. Okay.
Yeah.
It's a big drinker.
A big drinker, yeah. Drank for 45 years, but, and a lot of drugs. We had quite a popular bar down here in Torquay for 8 years, and what went on there was just insane. Every law in the book broken. Everyone. That was when Eckies first hit, and everyone was just dying to get into them. And we did a lot of that, a lot of speed and coke, and it was just everything we could get our hands on, really.
All right. Well, I want to hear how life started for Suzie. What was childhood like growing up in Australia? What were your parents like, and what kind of led you into using in the first place?
Yeah. Well, I've just got to plug this in. Sorry, it's going flat. Sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
I had quite a normal upbringing, but I felt like I lacked, love from mum and dad. I just didn't feel like I was connected to my family at all. I felt like, a bit of an alien from the get-go. I was different from them, and I was different from everyone, really. I just couldn't understand people or connect with them. And that was just that. Like, if you read my book, it explains all that in detail about how, when I was a baby, Dad used to say, because I was born with black hair and dark skin, and my sister had fair hair and light coloured skin and blue eyes, and I had brown eyes. And he used to say to everyone, he reckons there's an Aboriginal family running around with his kid. He got the wrong one.
So you felt like a black sheep right off the bat.
Yeah, and Mum used to tell me that when I was old enough to comprehend. Mum told me that stuff, and, that sort of made me confirm the fact that I thought I was an alien from another planet, and all these people, I just couldn't understand them. And that went through, and I didn't feel love from Mum. Mum was too young to have kids. We were, my sister and I were accidents, and she was still sort of wanting to, live a single life and, a party life. And and now she's 97, and, we talk about it. And I said to her, and I say it in the book, I always felt like I was in your way. And she's 97 now, and she says, you were. You and your sister were in my way.
It hurts.
I think it happens with all of us. I mean, most of my friends are the same. They just didn't feel loved. And Dad was an alcoholic, although a really, really 100% functioning alcoholic. He worked for the AMP Society for 45 years, but he was a big drinker. And the only time he ever told me he loved me was when we were drunk and singing Frank Sinatra and Nancy Sinatra into beer bottles, and then I go and spoil it all by saying something stupid like, I love you, gazing into each other's eyes, drunk.
Yeah.
That was as far as I got from love from Dad, even though, you love, but they just don't show it. And I was just we have the isms of alcoholism. We're born with them way before we ever touch a drink. And I had the isms of alcoholism from a really early age. And that comes with, low self-worth, low self-esteem, and just, feeling like you're different from everyone. Yeah. And that went through, state school. I was the same. I felt like everyone was different, very sensitive. I was very sensitive to everything. And even though people would never believe that when you see me at my best on drugs and alcohol on the table, flashing my boobs, which I did a lot of, no one would ever imagine that I was actually quite shy underneath, hence the drink, which stopped that, and sensitive and take everything personally, and that's pretty typical of us alcoholics in a way, because, we take everything personally.
That's so true.
Yeah. And, that just, everything hurts. Everything is pain, especially when you're drinking and drugging.
Yeah, well, that's very true. When do you remember the first time you really got drunk, and what was that like? And did you feel like attached to it right off the bat, or was it progressive?
Oh, I started drinking when I was about 14. Our family camped in the Torquay camping area. Mum had the same campsite for 75 years. And it was New Year's Eve, and they were out, and they had a liquor cabinet in the camp, prefabs they were. And my friend and I attacked a bottle of brandy, and I think we were 14, maybe 13, and I can't remember anything. I could remember the last memory was being on the beach, and then I woke up and my sheets were covered in green bile, and I'll never forget Mum coming in, and she just looked at me, and the look in her eyes was, she realised then and there that she had another alcoholic on her hands, because her face said it all. And she just started crying, and she said, you don't have any power over this. So this alcohol is going to have the power over you for the rest of your life if you keep drinking. And I was so sick, I couldn't eat for 48 hours. I just kept vomiting for 48 hours. I must have drunk the better part of a bottle of brandy. I mean, I can't go near brandy now. I can't.
Yeah.
And the smell of it still, so then I didn't realise that I had no power over that brandy. I just thought, this is what I do now. because once I started, that was, and it continued because my peer group, from school days were all big drinkers and dope smokers. And that continued on, with the first boyfriends when I was 16, 17. That's just what we did. We
Yeah.
just partied. There weren't drugs then. There were no drugs then. But, every weekend everyone got drunk. And you just thought, well, if everyone else is doing it,
It's okay.
I can do it. There's nothing wrong with this.
Yeah.
I didn't have an original thought. I just copied. I copied everyone. And I thought this is what you do. But I outdrank all of them, all that peer group. I outdrank them all and out everything them, outstayed them.
You would end up
outright.
being a little more intoxicated at the end of the night than everybody else.
God, yeah, because they would know how to stop. And
Yeah.
I didn't. I never knew how to stop. As soon as I had one, that's the thing. It's just 50. One's too many and 50 is not enough.
Yeah.
And I started noticing, this is all in my book. I delve into this a lot in my book. I started noticing from, that early age that my girlfriends were not drinking anywhere near what I was drinking. And that started to bother me. But, I would just drink more. So the bothering went away,
Yeah. Yeah. Stop
If I drink
overthinking.
more, I won't think about the fact that I'm drinking more than these women.
Yeah.
And they would all go home with their boyfriends at a reasonable hour because the boys had footy the next day, and I'd be saying, no, let's go to Silver's. Silver's nightclub's open till 3. I'll shout us all a cab, begging them to keep drinking with me.
Yeah.
And they would look at me like I was a weirdo. No, we're going home. We're going home, Suzie, come on. And the handbrake, I used to call my boyfriend, the handbrake had sort of carry me into the cab and off we'd go. But I'd be furious. Drunk and furious, that I was having to go home.
Were you a pretty drunk when you were drunk? You were pretty full of rage and pretty angry, or
Not in those days.
Yeah.
No, not in those days. I had a lot of fun, and I guess, when they were all questioning me at the end of the night, I would get angry because I wanted to keep drinking.
Yeah.
I've got a lot of anger in me. My sister told me yesterday that I should get anger management classes.
Yeah.
So I think that's never gone away. I've been in AA I've been in AA since 1990, but and I had an 8-month sober stint in Sydney in 2010, and then relapsed and drank again till this time.
Wow.
Yeah.
What were some other notable experiences in your early days of drinking that should have been reminders to quit drinking altogether, but you just, decided to brush it off and keep drinking?
Gosh.
Like wake up
I used
calls
to-
that you kind of ignored.
Yeah, well, I used to dance on tables a lot, and I fell off a lot of tables and, sprained an ankle and sprained a wrist, and that never stopped me, I mean, and I was just so drunk that it didn't bother me, that I wouldn't feel the pain in whatever I'd broken or sprained because I was too drunk to feel the pain.
Yeah.
But, losing my family, I had huge blow-ups with my family about my drinking. They couldn't deal with me. My boyfriends all dropped me because of my drinking, and I just wish them good riddance, fuck you, and keep drinking.
Mm-hmm.
Because then I wouldn't have to think about the fact that my life was falling apart because of alcohol, and it was. It takes everything from you. It's so powerful, cunning, and baffling. It takes everything from you.
Did it land you in a lot of relationships, toxic relationships where the other person drank a lot too, and it just
Yeah, I sort of left the Melbourne crew and went back to Torquay and hung out with surfers for about 10 years. And that was a lot of marijuana smoking, a lot of drinking, and yeah, a lot of toxic, dysfunctional guys that I was hanging out with then. Surfers, didn't really have a care in the world, which was great. I loved hanging out with them. Yeah, no one worked, and we did a lot of marijuana smoking, and like I couldn't smoke marijuana in the end of my drinking because it made me so paranoid. Well, way before I stopped drinking, I had to stop marijuana because it made me so paranoid. But yeah, a lot of toxic people. Yep, absolutely.
Wow. Yeah, no, it's good. So kind of moving along a little bit, when you got into like your 20s, 30s, did it start to escalate to the point where like, say you're waking up in the morning, going through withdrawal symptoms and stuff? Were you trying to function
Yeah,
on it?
I worked in advertising for 15 years, so that was lunches that started at 1 and ended at 6 at night. That was when we got into cocaine in advertising. Everyone was doing coke, and a lot of it. And more coke we did, the more we could drink. As you know, that's the story, how it goes. And I got sacked from probably 8 advertising agencies for not coming back from lunch. And that was in my early 20s, 24, 25. Had a lot of affairs then with people I shouldn't have. And that was just insane, the advertising years. Yeah, that was nonstop. And I would wake in the morning, with just the tremors happening. And eventually I would just get up and have to have a beer before I went to work
Yeah.
to stop the tremors. It's when it got that sort of late 20s, I guess. That's when it started getting really bad. And then I married a alcoholic and had a baby. She's 42 now, but she is still in therapy because she had 2 alcoholic parents.
Yeah.
And that didn't last long. That marriage didn't last long. Yeah, so that was just full on drinking, and neither of us were coming home. He was drinking at his pub. I was drinking in advertising, staying back, making up lies to my mum who had my daughter, or his mum who had my daughter. I'd come back. I was driving from my house to St Kilda Road and back, drunk as a skunk. Not even remembering the drive home.
Yeah, that's frightening.
I had 2 DUIs, but I wasn't really that drunk when I got caught. Like if I'd got caught, I would have been 0.356 or something. But yeah, that was just him. He drinking at his pub and me at work.
I can relate. When I was a kid, sorry to cut you off. Just when I was a kid, my parents were both traveling salespeople, and my mother suffered from her demons with alcoholism. My dad, I think he was into the party culture, the cocaine and all that stuff. So they were gone all the time. And I just remember that I was practically raised by my grandmother for a long time when I was a kid. I couldn't
Really?
understand having 2 parents that were just in that, atmosphere all the time. Take the time to be parents still, so it's pretty common, I think, amongst us alcoholics.
And how did that affect you?
I think it made me have abandonment issues growing up and to this day, just having attachment and abandonment issues when it comes to people. I'm always wondering when they're going to leave or disappear or fall out of my life. So I already kind of assume failure, or assume that I did something wrong before I actually did something wrong, because I blame myself, for if somebody's going to leave me or break up with me or disappear from my life. I'm already like, it's got to be my fault. Caused me a lot of self-blame.
Yeah, it's just a common thing, isn't it? When
Yeah.
your parents all your parents are doing is thinking about their next drink or party, and they don't. She came second to. This is all in the book as well. She came second to everything. She was secondary, my daughter. You think about when you're alcoholic is where's the next drink and where's the next party. You don't have time to parent. You don't even know how to parent. I'd wake up in the morning in those days and I'd have to think, who had my daughter, his mum or my mum?
Yeah. And you have to track her down.
I'd have to ring them. I'd have to ring them and say, have you got Emily?
Yeah. I'm sorry. Yep. I get it.
Back now, and you can't imagine that you were like that. You can't imagine that was the same person, as I am now, having transformed. I would never. Yeah, I don't have regrets because, all that made me who I am today. I don't regret any of it.
Yeah, same here. Looking back at some of the things I did and said and how I acted during those blackout moments, texting suicidal ideation texts to people in the middle of the night. And it's like, I look at life now and I wake up every morning and I'm happy to live every day. And it's like, gee, it's a whole new person,
Yeah.
you know? It's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's good, isn't it? How long are
Yeah.
you sober?
A little over 15 months.
Well done.
Yeah, I'm still
Congratulations.
fresh. I mean, a lot of attempts to be sober, some periods, small periods of sobriety, but this is the time where it all seems to be setting in. So, yeah.
Mm.
And I'm
Yeah,
38, so yeah.
you get it some point, don't you? It's like a
Yeah.
spiritual awakening that they talk about.
I agree. I'm a big part of the AA program, and you know, I feel like I gave it a try a couple of times, but I wasn't invested in it. And then finally, after I went to treatment and I came back into a meeting, I'm just like, you know what? I'm all in this time. I've had enough.
Yeah.
So I surrender.
You've
Yeah.
surrendered to step one. I mean, that's what you've got to do. 100% surrender to step one. And that's what a lot of my sponsees over the years haven't done, and they've all relapsed. And I look at them and I say, you didn't surrender to step one. And they say, no, I didn't. And if you don't, you've got no chance, you know?
Yeah.
You still think that you're not at rock bottom yet. You know,
Yeah.
I go to rehabs in Geelong on Friday afternoons. We go to Habitat and Hader, these two rehabs, and we do the big book with them. And, you know, they're really sort of they're really eager to have what we have, but they still ask questions like, they still say things like, I don't think I've come to rock bottom yet. And I said, you're in fucking rehab.
Yeah. I know. Like how much deeper can I dig right now? You know, it's
Yeah,
like,
the
I've been in
basement.
jails and hospitals, and it's like, okay, is this it? Okay, when I get out of the hospital or jail, I'm going to be able to slow it down and drink like a normal person. That's the lie I'd always
Yeah,
tell myself. And then next thing you
yeah,
know, 2 weeks later, I'm back in the hospital. I'm like, what did I do to myself? Is this the end? Like, am I done?
yeah.
It's like, you never know, but
No,
I want to
yeah, I
dig.
could control drink.
Yeah, exactly. That was my biggest lie, was like, yeah, I can drink like a normal person. So
Yeah.
yeah. And then next thing you know, I'm like 20 drinks in and I'm like, here I am back to square one.
It's insidious, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's an insidious disease that gets you by the short and curlies, and all your power just disintegrates.
Yeah. It's pretty frightening.
Yeah.
So how many times would you say, were you attempting to quit and got some periods of sobriety and then relapsed, and why did you relapse?
Oh, look, I was going to a group in Geelong in 1990 called Sobriety for Women, and that was 1990. No, I had maybe a couple of months sober when I did that, and then the next sober time was in 2010 when I went to Sydney. I'd had a huge blow up with my family, and they'd all said, we don't want you in our lives if you keep drinking, including my mother and my sister. So I had a huge blow up with them at Christmas in 2010, got back to Sydney, went to a cafe in Manly, and I'd literally been divorced from my family. This was just one of those things that is a God job, I reckon. I walked into this cafe. I was sitting in a cafe in Manly by myself drinking with my
Yeah.
head close to the bar. And these two men came in, one in a suit and one in white robes. And they came straight up to me and said, why are you crying? And I told them that my family had divorced me because of my alcoholism. And they both held one of my hands. And the guy the guy in the white robes looked into my eyes and he says, you don't need to drink. You've got everything going for you. Look at you. I can see your soul. You've got a pure, beautiful soul. Why are you destroying your life with alcohol? And the other guy he gave me a card and said he was a self-help motivator guru sort of bloke and said, come and see me free of charge. And the other one was a Buddhist monk who lived in the Blue Mountains in Sydney.
Yeah.
And that's when because I thought that's a God job. And the monk said to me, come and visit me in his ashram in the Blue Mountains, but make sure that I don't come drunk. Make sure I'm sober. And
Yeah.
they both hugged me and gave me all this beautiful advice and energy that was just extraordinary. And then that's when I stopped. So I went to AA the next day, and that was in DY in Sydney, and you don't know any of these places, but and that time I was sober for 8 months, and then I was by myself. My partner was down in Melbourne, and I opened the fridge, and there was a can of bourbon and Coke. This is after 8 months. 8 months of being secretary of my AA group, accountant, went to 6 a.m. meetings every day, went to 120 meetings in 90 days.
Wow.
After 8 months, I opened the fridge and there's a can of bourbon and Coke. That was all that was in there. And I picked it up and drank it. I just sculled it. I hate
What thinking?
without thinking, like we're an arm's length away from a drink, aren't we?
Yeah.
And I sculled this can of bourbon and Coke. It tasted revolting, but then I rang my mate in Sydney and said, can you get me some wine and come round? I've just relapsed.
That's frightening.
And he did, and that was it. And then I drank, every relapse is worse, as we know.
Yeah.
I drank more, and it was horrendous, the drinking then, because, I was drinking on knowledge, as they say, and drinking on knowledge is not fun.
No, you're guilty. You feel so guilty.
You're drinking because you have to drink, because it's compulsory to drink, even though you're hating the taste of it. You don't ever have any fun. It's all misery. It's all misery, but it's still drinking, like this. I think 6 years I drank against my own will, probably for the last 6 years. Most of that was in Sydney, away from my family. When we moved to Sydney, my partner and I decided that I'd move to Sydney and have no family around me to judge me, and I could just drink myself to death without judgment. That was my plan.
Yeah.
And I did pretty good job, but I didn't die.
How much do you think we're consuming a day?
Well, I would, at that stage I was sort of morning drinking, and I had a job in childcare, but I had, this is how powerful it is. I was working in childcare in Sydney, and it's illegal to drink, obviously, in charge of children. It's a sackable offence. But I would work out, got my lunch break started at 12 till 1:45. So I was 2 minutes away from the pub. So I would jump in my car, just leave 2 minutes earlier so I could get to the pub at exactly 12 and drink 3, maybe I could get in 4, hiding in a corner because the fathers from the daycare centre used to drink at this pub, the childcare centre. So I would hide in a corner and have, if I could get 4 in 3/4 of an hour, I would, but usually 3 was all I could get in. And then I'd fill my mouth with mints and get back to work at exactly 1:45, drunk. And the kids loved me. The kids thought drunk Miss Suzie Darling. They used to call me Miss Suzie Darling. The Miss Suzie Darling drunk was fabulous. I'd be on my hands and knees making monkey noises and pretending I was animals, and they would get on my back and I'd carry them around, and we'd sing to Taylor Swift and Katy Perry videos, me singing into broomsticks, and the kids they were all preschool, 5-year-olds.
They just loved it.
Drunk Miss Suzie. But, I don't know how I got away with that. I did that for 5 years, and no one, I think they actually knew, but, the boss of the centre knew. She would have to have known.
Yeah.
But they liked me, so they didn't sack me. But, none of that came into my head. I would not be able to get references from these people. I would get sacked from another job. I would be disgraced. None of that mattered. The drink just came first. It didn't matter. Nothing mattered except the drink.
What was your official breaking point at the end of that 6-year bender? Because I went, just to go back on a little bit of my story, I had a period of sobriety for 90 days. I did the 90 and 90, and I thought I was embracing, the program. And once 90 days hit, I had this alcohol that I had kept on hand the entire time and drank that. And the next thing you know, like you said, every relapse is worse than the other. And I was back full force within 24 hours. Didn't leave my room for 2 months probably, and ended up in the hospital again. So I can completely relate. You know, had I not been
Wow.
hospitalized, it probably would have taken me another 6 years. But
Wow. That's heavy. Yeah.
yeah, it was terrible. But yeah,
It's like, I mean, basically we abandon ourselves. You
and
know,
you're
we abandon the person that we are. And I look at people that drink now, you know, I'm 71 now. We don't hang out with a lot of people that drink, but when my daughter is an alcoholic, I think, not that she'd admit it, but they all still drink a fair bit. But
yeah,
I just notice now how they become this totally different person when
yeah,
they drink, and their personalities change,
mhm,
and it's you want to just shake them and go, who are you? You
yeah,
know, you're not you. You're not being you. You're being what the alcohol is handing you. You know, the personality the alcohol is handing you is what you're being. You're not being who you actually are. And
exactly.
and you know, and who am I to talk? Because but when you're sober, drunk people just annoy the fuck out of me. I
Me
mean,
too. Me too. I had to
the
leave
way they
My Christmas Eve gathering because I got so annoyed with people out taking shots and thinking they were being so funny and
oh
witty, and I'm just like, this is boring the heck out of me. So I just went for a drive.
yeah, yeah, yeah. They think they're funny and they're not funny. You know, being funny is being amusing and witty and clever.
Yeah,
Witty and clever to me is funny. You know, people that just have that,
that
you
natural
know,
wit.
sober or drunk. But when people just carry on like bloody idiots because of what they're drinking and
Yeah,
think that, and they look at you like, why aren't you laughing?
yeah. They get that liquid courage and they have all that confidence and they think anything
Yeah.
that comes out of their mouth is entertainment. And I'm just like, all right, man, you're full of yourself.
And you listen to them sitting around the table with their liquid lyrics, you know, liquid lyrics as Glennon Doyle calls it. You know, it's just a different conversation than you would ever have when you're full of piss, you know. It's like none of it's really relevant or interesting or educational. It's just a whole lot of bloody bullshit.
I know, drunken philosophy doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, yeah.
So back to kind of what I was trying to figure out, like, so 6 years goes by, you're obviously physically, mentally drained after a while. What was your official breaking point as to why
Oh,
you got sober for good?
yeah. Well, we moved back to Melbourne when my daughter was about to give birth to my first grandson. So he's nearly 10. So we moved back to Melbourne for that so I could be a nana. And yeah, when he was born, I had him a lot, and I wasn't driving and drinking with him, but I would I would wheel him down in his pram down the street, which was close to me, to a bar every day because I had him a lot. My daughter was working and son-in-law worked constantly. I would wheel his pram down to these local bars and cafes in the main street, and he'd have a bottle of milk and I'd have a bottle of wine, you know, and then I'd wheel him back home and keep drinking. Just the two of us, you know. My partner was still in Sydney then, still working in Sydney, so it was just Max and I for a lot of the time. And he never commented on my drinking. He was one. He never
Yeah,
said a word.
you love that when
Kid.
we're
Good
alcoholics and
kid, yeah,
nobody
well
calls us
trained.
out.
So when he was 14 months old, as usual, I had him at home and I was up to I was opening my third bottle of red wine, and at this point I I wasn't getting drunk. I was just numb. You know, it didn't matter how much I drank because the stinking thinking was so set in. There was no way I could be lighter or drunk and happy. I was just numb, you
Yeah,
know. And I was opening my third bottle and I looked at this 14-month-old baby and I thought, you know, what would I do if something happened to him and I had to get into the hospital? And I just had this vision of the drunk old granny throwing the baby in the cab to the hospital, which would have been what I would have had to do. And I just put the bottle down and I got on my hands and knees and I just cried and prayed to God to help me get rid of this pain, you know, that I was in. And I tell this story in my book, and it's sort of better when it's written down because people just look at me and think, what the fuck, you making this up? But this actually happened. I just saw this bright white light. That's all I could see was this bright white light. Everything else just disappeared. and there was goosebumps all over me, more than goosebumps. It was like my whole body was sort of shaking, and a voice that said, I'm here. I'm here to help you. I'm here to help you. I'm here to help you. A really soft voice that just kept repeating and repeating and repeating.
Wow. That's incredible.
And yeah, and I've got goosebumps now talking about it, but it was insane. It was, yeah, it was a spiritual awakening, obviously, but it was so intense and so profound. And I just cried and cried and cried. And that was it. In that moment, the obsession left me. The obsession for alcohol left me in that moment. That's
Wow.
why I know it was, you know, a spiritual awakening.
Sign from a higher power.
Yeah, from a higher power. Obviously, that's who was talking to me.
Yeah.
So the next day, I went to an AA meeting just around the corner from where I live. And this woman got up to share, and her name was Suzie, same as me. And she looked at me in the eyes and she shared her story, which was my story completely. And I sat there with tears running down my cheeks as she addressed her whole share to me. And then I went to meetings in that area, probably 150 meetings in that area. And you always see the same people. I never saw that Suzie again, ever. So that's like the second God job.
Yeah.
She's there for me. You know, that really had an effect on me, because then, and that was the clincher, you know, the spiritual awakening the night before, and then that was the clincher. And I went, this is it. And that's 8.5 years ago. So, you know, I did another 90 meetings in 90 days. And yeah, I just I hid away in my bedroom for the first year. I didn't go anywhere. I was on naltrexone to try and stop which is an
Cravings.
opiate blocker.
Yeah.
I was on naltrexone for 3 months, which I think it helped, but I couldn't go out. I couldn't see people. I couldn't talk to anyone. I was so
Anxiety was
depressed.
bad, I assume.
Shocking anxiety, paranoia. You know, everyone was talking about me. 2 little boys. Then she had another kid, so I had 2 little boys, Max and Charlie, who are 10 and 8 now. They saved me. I had them a lot. I just said to my daughter, I need to have them as much as I can, you know, so they would sleep in my room. The 2 little boys, babies, would sleep in my room, and I just cared for them, and they helped me get through it. And, you know, they'll never see me drink. And now they say things to me. They ask me about my drinking. They ask me funny questions now, especially Max. You know, why did you stop drinking? Because he sees his mum and dad drinking a fair bit. They drink a lot, although they work very hard, and they're in hospitality, but you know, yeah, it's in our DNA, so I'm pretty sure that's the same with her. But Max sometimes comments on his mum's drinking.
Yeah.
To me, you know, just funny little things he says. So
And
it's
thinking
a
that
family disease. It's a family disease, isn't it?
exactly, your parents drank and that's all you knew, and then she grows up, you get the help you need, but then now she's drinking, and that's really probably tough for you to see because you don't want her to destroy herself too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially when her children are already noticing it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a family disease.
It's heartbreaking. So
So
hopefully,
that was the end of it for me. Yeah.
Okay. So so it sounds like how did sobriety start to get easier, and then what it started to inspire you writing a book and all that, and what else do you put into practice?
Yeah. Well, I was working when I stopped drinking. I was working cooking because I'm a cook for mentally ill residents in this big household. So I was going to work every day. You know, before I stopped, I was working there as well. And every place I've ever worked, I had Bird Rock Cafe for 8 years, which is a very popular surfing bar down here in Torquay. And you know, the staff used to say things like, I'd say, "Oh, well done, guys. Great night. Go and get us all a drink," to one of the staff members, and they'd say, "Do you want it in your coffee cup or in a glass?" I go, "How do you know I'm drinking out of wine out of a coffee cup?"
Yeah.
I would start 12 o'clock, do it prepping for the night, drinking,
Yeah.
drink prep right through service, and then go into the bar and have a line of Coke or Speed or whatever. We even got into a bit of ice there for a while. It was insane.
Continue the
Um,
night.
in the bar till after stumps, because we got fined because we were open too late and we broke every law. And that same with this. Before I stopped drinking, I was working in this centre and I had a coffee cup, and I convinced the boss that we needed wine for the food, and he'd say they're mentally ill. And I said, oh, no, they still need good food. You need good wine and good food, Peter. So
Mhm.
he said I could get a cask of wine. So I was drinking cask wine out of a coffee cup, Couldn't go anywhere without a drink. I'd have a flask in the car. We had a Christmas day at my friend's big house one year, and Mum said, is there any room in this house you don't have a coffee cup, Sue? Like I
Yeah.
thought I was getting away with it. You're never
Yeah.
getting away with it. Everyone knew. So I think I was still really, really depressed about not drinking for probably 2 years. And then COVID hit, and all my life I've heard from people saying, you've got to write a book because of the stuff that's happened to me, like knocking on Rod Stewart's bedroom door, and he answers the door in leopard print jockettes,
Yeah.
and a hairdryer. And after I've had a 20-minute conversation with him and his band in the bar, I follow him up to his room drunk, knock on his door, and he answers. Anyway, I've got a lot of those stories, and everyone's always said, you got to write a book because there's so many of those. You got to write a book. You got to write a book. So when COVID hit, I thought, I'm going to write a book, and I just started typing. I never thought I'd publish it. Have you had a look at it on my
I
Instagram
have.
stuff?
Yeah. I have it
Yeah.
pulled up right now.
The Hole in the Soul. Yeah. It's what we have, what addicts have, obviously. And from chaos to clarity, which is the subheading, came to me from my higher power. I had no idea I was going to say that. I would never even use those words, and it just came to me. So I put chaos to clarity.
Chaos declared up.
Yes. So I just started typing, and 5 years later, which is just on November 4 just gone is when it was published. So it took me 5 years, but I just never thought I'd publish it. There's a lot of stuff in there that people are going to balk about and disagree with, and the backlash is going to be pretty heavy. But I just had to, again, I just prayed to I'm so close to my higher power. I so believe in faith in a higher power is the only way to go, because that they're there to help. She's there to help me. And I knew that I would ask what to do, because I still felt really hesitant about publishing it, just because of, stuff in there that, probably is going to cause a lot of ruckus and disagreement, and probably lose a lot of friends. And I was sitting here again, and I just prayed. I prayed, and I just got this huge message. You've got to print this book and get it published. So I rang the publisher straight away, and I said, it was ready to go. I went through it one more time, and I said, upload the files. And he said, really? And I went, yep, do it now. And that was just such a strong message.
Yeah.
So within 2 days it was published. So there's nothing I could do about it. It was out.
And you go into a lot of your fun stories. It's a memoir, so you go into a lot of like fun, interesting stories, like meeting Rod and Stewart and stuff like that. Do you go into a lot of the deep, dark details about your alcoholism and how bad that got?
Absolutely. Every single part of it is in that book. Yeah, I haven't left anything out. It's raw, honest, and unfiltered, and it's quite dark. I have Makakari, which is, I don't know if you know, it's receiving light from the East. It's a Makakari. It's a Japanese religion, not a religion. It's just a way of cleansing your soul. And you have a person who does like Reiki, but it's light. And they have a badge which creates the light from the East, and it's cleansing of your soul. It's amazing. It's profound, but you can feel the light energy going into you when they're doing it.
Yeah.
And the facilitator yesterday read my book, and she said, she started crying when she was talking to me. She said, your book has healed me. One of her best friends committed suicide, alcoholic, committed suicide. And she's never gotten over it, and she's never been able to understand what alcoholism is. She could never look at this woman and understand why she was doing it. She could never get it. And she said, your book answered all my questions and it's healed me. I can now let her go and, be at peace with her death because of your book. And she was crying and I was crying because, to me, that's just the best validation and you could ever get, and I've had a lot of really good reviews, like on Good Books and Booktopia and book places like that that's selling my book. I've had some good reviews on there as well.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic. But, I've sort of come to a standstill. I don't know what to do with the book now. I'm hopeless with IT, so I can't upload all the stuff they need to these, book companies like Publishers Weekly. And so I'm not quite sure where to go with it now.
Yeah. No, it's all part of the process. Did you find it very therapeutic getting all that stuff out on paper?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. My daughter's finding it hard to read because she said it's just bringing up some really bad memories.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was cathartic. It was sad too. I had to slam the computer shut sometimes and go for a walk, to get it out of my head.
Yeah.
Because you're talking about the tragic stuff, like my partner went to jail for dealing drugs and then he died, and we had a flatmate who committed suicide when Emily was 5, and a lot of pain, a lot of tragedy, and writing about that, I was going back into that place, and I just felt like I was there again. So you just got to go away from the computer and go for a walk just to stop it, get it out of your head.
A lot of trauma that you're reliving,
but also quite sad, and Dad dying and all that. You go through all that.
Yeah.
Lots of tragedy, lots of hilarity, lots of hilarities.
That within itself is a part of recovery, just you have to go through all the, issues of the past, and it's all the garbage and all the trauma and all the tragedy and stuff. And you have to kind of relive a lot of it in order to process it.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's been the best thing ever. I think it's probably the biggest achievement of my life. I'm going to start doing an audio version of it.
Yeah, that would be awesome. No, I love
because I listen to Audible. That's all I do. I listen to Audible. I don't read anymore. I listen. I love it.
Yeah, no, I like Audible too.
Yeah.
No,
I just read Glennon Doyle's book. I love Glennon Doyle. She's an ex-addict. Yeah, she's Carry On Warrior is her book I've just listened to. It's amazing.
Good.
Do you know Glennon Doyle?
No, I don't. But I will write it down.
She's got the We Can Do Hard Things podcast.
Okay.
We Could Do Hard Things.
All right. I'll write that down and check it out. Cool.
Yeah, she's an ex-addict. She's an addict of everything. She was an everything addict, and she's amazing. But We Can Do Hard Things is the podcast.
We Can Do Hard Things.
And Elizabeth Gilbert, who wrote Eat, Pray, Love, she's got another book out. She's an addict. So much good stuff you can listen to now for us addicts.
There's so many resources out there. There's a huge community, and it's, with celebrities and, authors, everybody's talking about recovery now. So it's a good thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Even yourself, writing a book and stuff and telling your story and being vulnerable. I'm sure that wasn't easy, but I'm sure it felt rewarding getting it out there. Now it can help other people. Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah.
What other things are you doing with your day now that the book's out there? Are you planning on writing another book with a different outlook or a different perspective, or are you planning on what else are you planning on doing?
I would like to write a murder mystery fiction. Yeah, I'm thinking about that. I've sort of got a plot in my head. So the other thing I was thinking about doing and getting my grandson, who's a really good artist, is to write a children's book and get him to do the illustrations.
That would be cool.
Yeah, so an actual child does the illustrations, and, kids' books are huge. I'd like to do that. First, I just want to get this audio done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would it be in your voice?
Yeah, I'd have to do it.
Cool.
It's going to take a long time, but I really want to do it.
That'd be great, hearing it through your voice and your perspective.
Yeah, and now it's summer here. It's 40 degrees here today. It's so hot. So yeah, in Australia, it's summer. So I spend a lot of time in the sun on the beach with my grandkids on school holidays, which it is. And yeah, I do think about writing another book. I absolutely need to start doing something with my head.
But it sounds like life is good, though. I mean, your relationships are good. You're close with your grandkids. A little concern about your daughter, of course, which is natural. But is everything else going good with your friendships and you have your own supportive community around you?
Yeah, I've got a lot of friends in AA. My family's broken up over mum's money. My sister's psycho and we don't talk anymore. And she doesn't talk to my daughter. That's been horrendous. But I mean, we'll get over that.
Yeah.
I've got a 97-year-old mother living around the corner in my daughter's backyard in a granny flat.
Okay.
So I have her most days. She's ringing me now. She'll want to do something. I've got to get her out of the 40-degree heat. She's a fucking nightmare. Sorry.
I got
She
to keep
asks,
that on
she
here.
asks questions. She asks questions all day long.
Yeah.
But yeah, that takes up a lot of my time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I've got a lot of really good friends in AA, and we've got a WhatsApp group, and we talk daily. I've, because of this family breakup, really feeling like an untreated alcoholic at the moment. I'm so emotional, and I cry at the drop of a hat because it's really getting to me. So my friend in AA said, "Why don't we do the steps again?" So we're going to start the steps again, which will be my fifth time.
That's
But
great.
I feel like an untreated alcoholic. I feel like a dry drunk, as we say,
Yeah.
uh, because of all this trauma going on with the family. So yeah, I'm going to start the steps again. So that'll give me something to do.
That's great.
Positive.
Yeah. Well, that's a great reminder that no matter how long you've been in the program, you've never been through the steps too many times. If you need to get a refresh every now and again, it's healthy.
Yeah. Yeah, I do a 7:30 a.m. Zoom meeting every day of the week and then another one on weekends. So I sort of start my day that way. I do a gratitude list as soon as I wake up. I do the third step prayer. I pray about everything
Good.
and get on a meeting, and that's how I start my day, which is, the only way I can because the fear I wake up with the fear in my head always, as we do, the doom and gloom,
Yeah.
what's going to go wrong today. Yeah, if you do all that stuff, um, first thing, that gets rid of that feeling
Yeah.
of fear, which we seem to all have, which is a shame.
Yeah. Very honest. No, I appreciate it. Last and final question. What advice would you give to my listeners that are sober curious, new to recovery, been in recovery, but just want a little advice from somebody who's been sober for a long period of time? What would you say?
Look, I would say choose love always. I finish every share with, ask yourself what would love do? I think love's the healer of us all. And I also would tell them that they've got to stop abandoning themselves because they are, we're all miracles. Every single one of us is a miracle and we are all unique. No one has our thumbprint and we tend to we tend to beat ourselves up all the time, us alcoholics. We tend to blame ourselves for everything and we're all guilt ridden. And, it's not, we need to love ourselves, cliche as it is. We need to love ourselves. We really need to give ourselves some self-respect and, believe in ourselves because we're born perfect. And for some reason, we need to fuck up our lives with alcohol. I still can't understand why we do it, but
Yeah.
probably never will. But we need to just believe in ourselves and, we are unique and we're all great. I just find that we need to have self-respect instead of low self-worth, and sobriety will give us that. Sobriety gives us back everything that we lose in alcoholism. But, what would love do? That's my answer to everything. What would love do?
I love
Choose
that.
love.
Yep. I like
Yeah.
that. It's a good answer. I really appreciate you being on. And would you like to shout out and title your book and where people can find it one more time?
Yes, called The Hole in the Soul, From Chaos to Clarity by Suzie Brown with an E. And you can buy it on Amazon and Booktopia and Dimmicks and Google Books. And I think you can order it through bookshops. I know I've sold some in America because it tells me on the Ingram Spark site. So I'm not quite sure how all that works, how it's distributed. But yeah, you can get them on all those sites anyway.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, have a read because it's a self-help book. I wrote it for us alcoholic women, and for that reason, and so many of my AA friends reading it are getting some amazing answers from it. They actually are. It's meaning a lot, and it's giving them answers and hope because, it makes us realize that we're not alone and there's always someone there to help you, because we can't do this on our own. We can't do sobriety on our own. We can't stay sober on our own. So all these self-help stuff must help. It's got to help. My aim was to help other people in my position.
I love that.
So get the book. Give it a read.
All right. Well, I'm going to just for the heck of it because I need to hear some of these Rod Stewart stories.
Well, that's a good one. That's a couple of pages, that story.
Thank you so much, Suzie, for coming on and talking about your story and your book. And I really appreciate it. It's been fun talking to you.
Thanks, Ryan. Fun talking to you too. Lovely meeting you.
Yeah, you too. Have a good day.
Hopefully we'll be in touch again.
We will. We will.
Rock Bottom with Ryan. No bullshit, just recovery.